Fantastic. Great. Can you hear me okay? Is that this microphone, or am I better with that? Is that any better? Yeah, is that okay? Perfect. Wonderful. So, as Nick said, it's the coffee and chocolate, Nick, that keep me going. It's not energy. So my name is Claire Craig, and I am co-director of Lab for Living, which is an interdisciplinary research cluster based at Sheffield Hallam University. And we've been in existence now for about 12 years. And we bring together design at every facet of design: product, graphics, film media, fine art, through to every facet of health. And we have, a massive, it's a fantastic team and a fantastic place to work. I've had the privilege of working with Steve and the team for about 5 or 6 years, and it's a real honour to be here and to, just to spend time and to be invited to speak at this conference. Okay, so as I said, we formed about 12 years ago now. And during the last 12 years, we've been involved in over 100 research projects that bring together this field around design and health. And these projects have been funded through Medical Research Council grants, through Arts and Humanities Research Council, through industry, through Marie Curie, through charity. And they've been incredibly varied. At the ethos of everything that we do is to design products, services and interventions to promote quality of life throughout the life course. And that manifests itself in projects, for example, that look at the role of design in rethinking end-of-life care, through to projects looking at the role that graphics play in communicating complex systems in hospitals, looking at the potential of 3D printing to enable young people to communicate their pain, and even in the development of products such as Initiate Collaborate that we developed with a team here. Nick and Steve led that work to create tools to support these conversations between these disparate and diverse fields at times. So we do write academic papers based on our research, but equally a lot of what we do finds its way into the real world because we work a lot with industry. So, the work that we do manifests itself in things that people actually get to use out there, which is fantastic. And some of those things lead to award-winning products that massively impact and promote quality of life and stimulate new industry and companies to grow and develop. Some of the products and our research finds its way to shift government guidelines. So, for example, the research that we've done around dementia and rethinking about how we position people with dementia as experts in relation to developing interventions at a really early point in people's journey. So lots and lots of potential. We recognised over the 12 years that we need to have forums and spaces where we can share our research. So we have a Design for Health conference, and we also publish a journal that's led by Taylor and Francis. So we create these spaces that Derek referred to, the importance of bringing together these paradigms that we operate within. However, this morning, I'd like to look at this question: design for health. So not what does it mean for the 1,000-year life, but what does it mean for the 100-year life? So just for a second, I would like to ask you a question. So I'd like you to think, would you live your life differently if you knew you were going to celebrate your 100th birthday? Would you live your life differently if you knew you were going to celebrate your 100th birthday? Okay. It's a pertinent question. It's a pertinent question because 1 in 3 children that are born in the West today will live to be 100. And by 2066, that number will be 1 in 2. So in 2016, Grattan and Scott wrote a really interesting thesis called The 100-Year Life. And what they did is they challenged us to reframe and rethink the ageing process. What they suggested was that at present, we live on a our current mode of thinking is a 3-stage life, we're born, and then we have education, and then that middle period between 16 and 64, or maybe a bit later for some of us, is packed full when we're trying to manage work, with looking after family, with kind of caring for parents, with then also amassing enough funding to last us, if we retire at 60, for another 20 to 30 years, okay, to fund that retirement. Grattan's got proposed that maybe we could rethink what a 100-year life might look like. So, for example, we might have education, so we might look at university or not, or we might take time out, we might then work, we might retrain and build up some intangible assets there. You know, we might have a career break, travel, you know, come back to more education training, a different type of role, a different type of job, and then finally retirement. It's an argument that's based a lot on an economic model, but equally it raises really interesting questions about how do we develop and build intangible assets such as skills, but also investing in relationship, in community, and in building a far kind of richer experience. So that what Derek mentioned in terms about quality of life and meaning. I think this creates a fascinating and really exciting research space. It asks us to maybe rethink about housing. Where will people live? How will we live? You know, what will we think about in terms of sustainability in terms of housing? I think it raises exciting questions in terms of the types of research-informed products we might want to use. So, for example, this is one of the piece of work that we've done at Sheffield Hallam University. So we developed a jam jar that is 40% easier to open. So this is out there in the real world. We know that people make a decision of types of food that they will buy as they age based on whether they can get into the packaging. We know that this links to malnutrition. But if we have these research-informed products, you know, what could that potential hold? We might want to rethink about what ageing is, or how it feels, or how we even envisage who older people are. That might have a massive impact in terms of fashion, dress, identity. I've not shared an image. One of our very dear friends and colleagues is an 89-year-old skydiver. And she's just started modelling for a very big fashion chain because there's a recognition that actually we need to rethink, you know, what is it to be old, and the importance of style identity. So we don't just, when we're thinking about this field, we're not just thinking about these questions, but also how might we rethink our finance system and the way and the types of products that we access in terms of finance? How might we rethink education and universities and what those spaces hold? How might we think work and the design of work environments and what they mean? So for us in Lab for Living, we're really excited. But it's particularly pertinent because we have this opportunity now to affect change. So we have just been awarded a fantastic grant that actually invites us to expand a whole programme of research looking at the role of design in exploring and challenging and thinking about the spaces that we might work in within this 100-year life space. So we have £8 million to spend over the next 6 years. So it's a great opportunity, and part of being here is to have a conversation with the people to find out your ideas and the way that we might work. It is really exciting, if not a little daunting and slightly scary, but I think for us to realise the potential of what this offers, we have to certainly think about maybe revisiting these parallel trajectories that design and health can sometimes travel in. Yeah, we need to rethink these parallel trajectories that design and health sometimes travel in. Perhaps we need to understand a little more about what design is and what design can offer, and what design research is and what design research can offer, moving away from maybe just those notions it's just about aesthetic to thinking about a whole set of practices and processes that are very research based. And we also need to think about what do we mean by health. Again, as Derek said, you know, we need to move away from notions that it's just about hospital and illness to a far more inclusive and broad understanding of what that is. But we have a lot of optimism, and we have 12 years of experience of seeing its potential. For me, I think that the key element is finding these spaces to have these shared dialogues and to hold these conversations. We need to demonstrate the value and the importance of working together in design and health from the very beginning. I think design does very well this process of kind of understanding the context and this problem forming, this problem setting, this problem understanding, as well as the problem solving. And we really need to tap into that. And if this kind of sounds kind of a bit woolly and a bit open, I've just brought a tangible example from some of the work that we did back in 2009 and 10. So in 2009 and 10, we were challenged to rethink the future bathroom. So we know that most accidents happen in the bathroom space, but equally we know that the meaning of the bathroom changes as we age. When we're little, the bathroom is about play. As we get a bit older, it can be about romance, maybe. And then as we get older, it becomes a place to be feared. We know that most falls happen in the bathroom. We know that most injuries around fractured neck and femur occur when people fall on hard bathroom surfaces. So we were interested to redesign the bathroom space, and we were given funding to do that. But of course, in England, when you ask people, what do you do in the bathroom, nobody wants to tell you. We're British. We don't talk about things like that. So we started we developed something called the Field Lab. So we created a whole exhibition space with different bathroom type products. And we had a graffiti wall to collect data, an electronic graffiti wall. We had the Bog blog, where people could sit and tell us what they were doing in the bathroom. That was a moment in itself. Collected lots of very rich data. We also trained a group of older people as community researchers. So again, a focus of a lot of what we do is around co-design. So we've trained and we paid older people as colleagues, as community researchers. And those colleagues took out a method using cultural probes. They looked both at what people did in their own homes in terms of looking at bathrooms and bathroom spaces, as well as public toilets and the importance of that. In order to understand some of the cultural nuances, we continued that work, and we did some work out in Turkey to try and understand culture and the impact that has on in terms of bathrooms and how we think about that. And then again, drawing on the value of working together around ergonomics, around kind of recording data, looking at movements, we started to kind of take some of that learning and create some pre-prototypes, which were again fed into this much, much broader process. And again, seeing the value of design in enabling us both to envisage what that is and have real-world conversations with individuals, and then leading ultimately to products. And I guess from a design for health perspective, also sometimes the joy that the real value of what we do is in the unexpected, is in the unanticipated. So yes, some of those pieces of work have found their way out into the real world. So for example, working with materials colleagues, why do we have the hardest surfaces in bathrooms when we know that we have surfaces that are just as able to be cleaned, but are much more cushioning? So some of those things are happily and moving and living in the real world. But equally, the biggest finding that we had were from people in their 70s who said, if I'd have known this when I refitted my bathroom when I was 50, I would have made these changes then. I would have made my home the place that it needed to be so I could live there longer and experience far better quality of life. And so this manifests itself very simply in a brochure. We worked with the company Vitra to create a brochure where people could actually understand what the kind of core facets of design could be when they were making informed choices as they redesign and rethink about their home. And ironically, this then won the most innovative design for ageing in the UK back in 2017. So you can see how, the joy of the openness, of the unanticipated, but having that out there. So this space raises lots of exciting and interesting questions. So when we talk about design for health, are we just talking about a context? Or are we talking about the emergence of a new discipline that merges together these paradigms that we seem to operate in and our understanding of methods and methodologies and the way that they manifest themselves and how we actually share those? Do we need to think more carefully about the type of ecosystem that we want to build? How do we draw, if we're going to build this next generation of people working in health and people working in design who can have these interdisciplinary collaborations and who can affect change, you know, how does that inform our teaching? How does that inform our research? How does that inform the way that we work with industry in order to create this new knowledge that then leads to societal value and impact? So many opportunities, so many questions. And, you know, events like this, you know, just congratulate again Steve and his amazing team, you know, Nicola, you know, just bringing together these amazing diverse conversations that we've had yesterday and we will continue to have today and tomorrow, you know, aren't they surely at the heart of what we do? And finding new and different ways to have conversations, surely that's where we need to be moving together as a community, in whatever guise that might take. Thank you very much. All right, time there.